This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
When the cat's away, the mice come out to play. Dimmel's lack of attendance last week meant Juracek finally got a chance to snag a win this season. But perhaps the most frustrated driver is Daniel Sadro, who sits second in the points and also took yet another second on the track at Charlotte. Though he wasn't able to take maximum points, he still sits within reach and could yet still claim the title. We'll see if he's got what it takes to overcome the hurdle as we get ready to watch round 12 of the Weekend Warriors. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel and the iRacing Esports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Bill Soup Zahn. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Bill, Of all the places in the SRF where anyone could have a shot at winning, Spa certainly offers up an open goal.
Could not agree more. You know, this car track combination always reminds me of one of the greatest poker movies of all time. 1966, Big Hand for a Little Lady, where Joanne Woodward's character ends up with a poker hand that is more than she can handle. Today, it's a similar situation. We have a big track for little cars. The nature of this layout will make for pack racing. For those new to auto racing, Spa is not about mud facials and cucumber water. This is 19 turns fit into 7 kilometers. That's 4.3 miles of track. Now, there are many configurations of Spa on iRacing, but none of them change much as far as the racetrack goes. What's important to know is how the drivers pit, where they start, and where they finish. Now, for today, pit entrance is going to be around the other side of La Source. That's the hairpin. This is also where they will start and finish for. So at the end of the race, look for there to be a pass going into the bus stop, then maybe a counter pass down into La Source, the hairpin, and then yet a drag race out of La Source to the finish. But to get an idea of what this place is really like to get around, let's jump on board the GSRC SRF and take a Reader's Digest version of a lap around Spa.
All right, we've got Amjad Yaman in the GSRC SRF, so let's do a lap around Spa. Coming across the start-finish line, you want to keep the car as far left as you can go and then hit the binders once you spot your brake marker. The most important thing about the infamous La Source hairpin is nailing that exit. The outside is paved, so you get a 1x at worst if you get on the power early. But come out of there with no speed or get on the power late, and your lap time will really suffer. Now, we plunge down the hill towards Eau Rouge. In the small underpowered spec racer, this will easily be flat out, but that doesn't take away how critical it is to get the line right through here. Just like La Source, navigating it properly will set you up with momentum on the long climb up the Kemmel Straight. And now that you've reached it, take a breather, sip your drink if you need, check your mirrors. You've got a lot of time to ponder what you did wrong and what you did right. The one thing that will keep you from totally relaxing is the draft, which will keep cars close all race long. And as we hit the braking zone for Lacombe, anyone who isn't fully past you will be looking to beat you to the first apex. Thankfully, since this is basically a large chicane, defending from the outside can be done. From there, it's just a matter of lining your car up for Malmedy and just giving a little lift to get the car through the corner. We're now at the highest point of the track, and it's all going to be literally downhill from here. Rivage is another spot where sneaky passes may happen, but the lift throttle oversteer of the SRF makes this a 180-degree right-hander, one that requires balancing the car with the gas. After that, it's a short sprint to the next left-hander, which is one more small lift and then get your foot back to the floor. I always love this part of the track because if you look across over the trees, you can see the rest of the circuit in the valley below you. But there's no time for sightseeing because you've got to get your turn in perfect for Pouhon or suffer the consequences. This double apexer catches out even the best drivers from time to time with its difficulty. It's quick, it's downhill, and it's dangerous. If you got it right, you got to send the car to the left to set up for Fagnes. Just like Lacombe, this is something of a large, quick chicane. A clever driver with a good run can occasionally pull off a pass into this S-bend. Once more, there's no time to relax because the line from Fagnes takes us directly into Stavelot. It's important to get the first part of the corner right because once again, you shouldn't lift for a long time afterwards. The second part of the corner can be tricky, but if you hit the line right, it's flat out. Now, because this part is so fast, we find ourselves with another section where draft battles start to erupt. But instead of a heavy braking zone, it leads into the fearsome Blanchimont. In a faster car, you'd ease off the gas, but with a spec racer, the right line will be flat-footed. Despite not having to lift, it's still single file, so getting side by side will cost both drivers time. Honestly, the wiser move may be to sit behind the car in front and then set yourself up for a pass into the bus stop. Get the car to the left, throw out the anchor, and slam it down through the gearbox. Watch out for these large red sausage curves at both apexes though. They'll knock the car all out of sorts and traction will be very important out of this chicane. Hopefully, you got it right so that your opponent can't have a go at you into La Source. But regardless, as you approach the line, you finish the lap around Spa.
Lap around Spa when it was just a little bit brighter out. Some cloud cover certainly cooling things off here, but well, it's always bright in the Weekend Warriors because it's brought to you by the Hallett Race Shop. The Hallett Race Shop is located at the Hallett Race Track near Tulsa, Oklahoma. They're a full-service SRF shop, an authorized customer service rep for SCCA Enterprises, and owners of the Hallett Racetrack. You can find more information at hallettracing.net. Big thanks to them for sponsoring this season. But it's not just that we want you to know about. Attention, all iRacers. We found a way to get you all on the same boat. Take a cruise with us to celebrate the new year. That's right. Sail out of Miami with us on January 5th, 2020 for a 7-night Eastern Caribbean cruise on the Royal Caribbean Oasis of the Seas. Special group pricing has been put in place for iRacing members and their friends. Sail away and get together with members of the iRacing community and get ready to see Phillipsburg, St. Martin, San Juan, Puerto Rico, and Labadee, Haiti. For as little as $125 a day, you can cruise the high seas for 7 days. And for a small deposit, you can secure your spot today. Payment plans available for everyone. Contact Brenna today at the cruise shop to get in on this special offer. Email or call, but do it now because spots are filling quickly. That's Brenna at thecruiseshopfw.com. Go on over to the Facebook events page with all the details about this amazing offer. Facebook/cruiseshopfw. We'll see you on the ship. Bill, ship might be sailing for the championship, though. It's the last round, last chance to do something. So what's the situation?
All right, the best way to describe our points leader, Sven Demi's his season is Demel is an Oreo cookie. If you know an Oreo cookie, it's got like the cookie on the outside. What's important is the creamy center. That's where the good stuff is, and that's how his season has gone. Demel was late for the beginning. He hasn't shown up for the end. He's out of drop races, but the middle was really good. Unfortunately, it's probably not going to be enough for him to get the championship as he's not here again today. And you see that 0 by his row there, by his droplet. He is out of drop races, so he's going to settle for 641 points. That's going to be his total. Well within striking distance, though, are Daniel Sandrell and Gerald McAreevy. They are back within 38 back and 57 back within. That would be 19 points of each other. So really, Sandro is in the best position to get the championship, but Jerry has a real chance to get there. Then you got Donald Fitterer in the 4th position. Remember, he's an S2 driver. We'll talk more about him in a minute. And then Steven Elson, who's always fun to watch. Let's go ahead and look at that X2 championship right now. And there he is again. I think Donald enjoy his S2 championship here as he's going to get reclassified for next season. Ryan Sorrell is not here today as far as I can tell, so I really think that Fitterer's got this thing locked up. Nobody's going to be able to get to him. You see the rest of the drivers down below. McGill and Bradshaw swap position. So, Joe, we got a good one. Season finale, we got a championship battle up there at the top. We'll keep an eye on that between Sadro and McAreevy.
And I can say that Sorrell is here, but he hasn't set a lap yet. He's in the server, so I'm not sure what's going on there. It could be that he just stepped away at the wrong time. Now the qualifying has started. But before we talk about qualifying, let's talk about the race itself and what is in store. It is their sprint format once again, 40 minutes. So there's one pit stop for fuel. That will be important around here where you've got so much drafting. Who is going to use more fuel, trying to punch a hole in the air and lead the train. There's the points that you can earn as well. 100 for a win. And don't forget, you can also get 90 for second and 83 for third. From there, we actually don't know yet how they'll be apportioned, except that last place will get 25 points. And there's 23 cars out there today. They can also get penalty points if they have off tracks or other types of incidents racking up. 3 of them will get you 10 incident points. So car contact alone, 10 incident points will lose you 3 points in the championship. I had that reversed. They have a spare car waiting for them if they do get damaged. That will probably be very valuable here today with it being so fast on the straightaways and aero being important on these cars to get top speed. As always, you're watching the season finale on the iRacing Esports Network. Make sure and subscribe when you get the opportunity. Go click the big red button that says subscribe on the IES and YouTube page, and then you'll get all of the Weekend Warriors in your YouTube feed. Taking a look at the qualifying, we ride on board with last week's winner, Juracek, and he's currently working his way around the bottom half of the course, getting a little bit of a tow from ahead, it seems, but our pole sitter is David Gaspers back once again, Bill.
The ghost is here. This guy's hailing out of Germany. This guy raced. He's a SRF specialist.
Daniel Sadro is currently on the front row, so he's putting himself in a good position, but Jerry McAreevy is looking to challenge. He's on the outside of the second row, just behind Sadro currently, but qualifying is not over. We still have time for a lap and one more, maybe. It looks like just getting past about the lap times that we're seeing for these drivers. Takes a long time to get around here, Bill.
Yeah, sorry about that. If I dropped out there, of let's follow up on Gasper's a little bit. As you look at McAreevy, who's in the championship hunt, hailing out of Germany. Gasper's really good SRS specialist. Not going to matter, though. Qualifying, always fun. You like to qualify up front, Joe, but we talked about it in the intro. This is a draft track, pack racing. You just want to see if you can stay in the front, stay close, get a good pit stop.
And that's a good point, because I look at Donald Fitterer, who's qualified in 6th. If he doesn't lose the top pack, we could see the possibility of seeing a Spec 2 winner overall.
Oh, yeah.
So the 211 who sits on the pole is about one car split between himself and second in that class as we watch Donald come across the line after LaSource. Bob Kern currently second, but 8th overall in the 23 cars that we have currently.
I don't mean to crystal ball commentate here, but what usually happens on these when we have these underpowered cars, either this one or the MX-5s, is you get a large pack and it'll stay large until one of the drivers in the middle of the pack will make a mistake. There'll be an incident, then the train will break up a little bit, and a 14-car pack will turn to a 7-car pack, and you get the idea. By the time it's done, we'll see 3 or 4 drivers near the end shooting it out, and then it becomes not so much about racecraft. Well, actually, it all becomes about racecraft, about chess playing and where you want to be.
Certainly does. This is Fred Desai, currently P5, as he comes up to Fanyes. His fastest lap at a 250.6 was his first one. And I'm actually surprised at how many laps he's gotten in cleanly. This track kind of notorious for ruining qualifying laps very easily, Bill.
Oh, yeah. This is a place, at least for me, where you almost kind of got to use incidence points, almost like push to pass, because you can steal a little bit of time, but it costs you if you want to try to push the boundaries of the track. You can pick up a few tenths of a second here, but you got to be careful. You end up in trouble.
Well, then
talk about Desai. Look at the gap. It's literally 2 seconds between him and Gaspers, and he's only in 5th position.
Wow, that actually is pretty incredible. That the drivers are finding that much pace difference. This is Yolland, currently sitting in 10th, that we're riding on board with. He was getting a tow from, actually, David Gaspers, our pole sitter. And, it's interesting that you bring up the idea of using the off-track strategically, because obviously our drivers, as the checkered flag comes out, our drivers who are competing for the championship are worried about those because they only mean points get taken away. But look at Gaspers. All he cares about today is the win. So, I mean, the boundaries don't mean a whole heck of a lot.
But again, where he finishes doesn't really matter much to Sadro or McAreevy unless it's somewhere between them. McAreevy needs a win, and then needs to have Sadro with a little bit of a cushion between those two for him to steal that. But you just talked about Yolland there. Yolland's a really good driver. His qualifying times never really reflect what a good racer he is. Yeah,
he moved up to 5th in that last lap, so nice job by him. Jerry McAreevy is going to give up on his qualifying before he even gets to the line, so he wasn't happy with that. In the meantime, Sadro's also given up on his qualifying, so the top runners are not going to be able to overtake David Gaspers. Donald Fitterer, I think it's unlikely that he's going to be able to go faster than the number 23, but you never know. He's still our pole sitter in the Spec 2. Can he improve his position overall? Looks like he's going to stay out. He's not making motion like he's going to come into the pits. Nope, he is. Moving off to the right. He abandons it. That is it for Fitterer. Same with Don't behind him. Looks like a lot of drivers really not finding much in the latter stages of this qualifying.
I might be putting on my Captain Obvious cap here, but if you're new to the series and you want to know about the S1 and the S2 drivers, you can tell the difference between their car numbers. All these single and double-digit numbers are S1. Anything that starts with in the 200s, clearly an S2, as you can see right there, as we look at Doemveld in the 242.
Yeah, Van Doornveld doesn't improve either. Jacobson behind him doesn't set a faster lap. Who else do we have? Adam Bradshaw, usually in the hunt for the win in Spec 2. can't do any better in only his second timed lap in that qualifying. Great example right there, just how difficult it is to keep it between the lines. This might be our last driver still going, Chris Murakami. I'm going to check to see if we got anybody else still out on track. The 01 comes across the line, and that one will not count for him, unfortunately. So yes, that is it. Our last driver through. That sets the grid. Let's go through that and bring you up to speed on where everybody will get the green flag. David Gasper's on the pole with Daniel Sadro looking to take the championship with Dimmel not being here today. Starts in second. Steve Elson still in third. And where we saw them early in qualifying, Jerry McAreevy still sitting right behind Sadro in fourth position. Richard Yallen will start fifth. Fred Desai, P6. Then it's Donald Fitterer in seventh, followed by Chris Murakami in eighth and Bob Kern ninth. Last round's winner, difficult day in qualifying for him. Juracek starts in 10th.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I think that's why he was out there so long, trying to get a better time. Edward Doherty and Adam Bradshaw fill up row 6. C. Love is with us. He's going to be in the Baker's Dozen spot, going to be flanked by Nico Chuck. Ryan Sorrell in the 15th spot. All ribbons of Curtis Dominique Barreau in the 16th position. Francois Dornveld in the 17th, Van Dornveld in the 17th spot with Jeff Jacobson behind him. Jim McGill and Matthew Don't go 19th and 20th. I'll just take these last three as well. John McDonald, William Marshall, and Gary Warbold go 21st through 23rd. Joe?
It's a little bit of a small field here today, at least in terms of sizes that we're used to seeing for the weekend warriors, but should still give some good action, especially with a lot of major players. Some big names have shown up for the last round of the season. Just letting that clock tick down, and then the drivers will be able to start to grid up. Now, Bill, we keep talking about the drafting around here and how much it's going to play into the race and whatnot, but we haven't really mentioned being able to read the changeable weather at a track like this. Even though we don't have rain coming in necessarily, we've seen that the temperature can swing pretty wildly.
Yeah, it's actually, you look at the skies here for Belgium. This is a beautiful day here. Whenever I watch a real world race in Belgium, it's always horrible. Weather should be okay for these guys. Comfortable whether we wait for David Gasper to take his spot as we have this overhead shot. You see them start to line up on the grid. Gasper, Sadro, Elson, McAreevy, Yallen, those guys should all be able to hang together. We'll see if Fred Desai can stay in there. Donald Fitter also. But the top 5 names that I mentioned, I think are all going to be really competitive with each other.
Now, okay, if this is different, you might notice that they are lining up on the actual grid here. Typically, this series is a rolling start, but they are doing a standing start here today. Shouldn't be too much of a problem since they're not going into La Source. They're heading to Eau Rouge, but hope everybody's practiced their standing starts in these cars.
Other than getting the power down, which is really always not that much of an issue for these underpowered cars. At least they don't have to worry about braking zones. Okay, Joe, here we go.
Lights are up, engines rev, green flag is out, off the line. It looks pretty good for David Gaspers. In fact, the top 3 are decent. Really good start from Jerry McAreevy trying to go side by side with Steve Elson. And indeed, Elson's going to lose that spot by the time they get single file over the top of Radion.
Actually, that standing start made Eau Rouge and Radion a little bit easier, as the cars weren't even up to full speed yet, as we have a battle up front, side by side.
Already seeing that draft come into play. Big bump draft there from Jerry McAreevy, giving a huge shove to David Gaspers. Sadro to his outside. And we got a big accident in the background. Well, there's the split we were wondering about. Very early, a car spinning like a top. That's Donald Fitterer. That's our Spec 2 leader. And he has had to take a tow. Disappointment for him. Go ahead, Bill.
There was a lot of, we may want to come back when the time allows to watch the entire first lap, or there were 4 or 5 incidents just going down into Lacombe.
So what does this do for our situation? Gasper still leads. McAreevy is now up to second place. Sadro's slotted back into third. Elson behind him is in 4th. He's being challenged, though, by Yalin and Juracek, who's up to 6th now. Murakami in this as well. Leader in the Spec 2 is Adam Bradshaw. He seems to have inherited that from Fitterer. That Spec 2 race, it's Sorrell that we want to watch. Actually, where is Sorrell right now? He's sitting in 10th. 76 points back. I'm not sure if that's going to be enough for him to overtake in the points.
I'll take a quick look at if there are drop races allowed. Fitterer doesn't have any. So it's 25 points if you finish last. So he is within striking distance. Well, no, he's not. Unless it's a 76-point interval between first and second in that S2 championship. 75 is the most you can get taken out of drop points or penalty points.
Well, I was going to say, don't forget about penalty points. You could still get back in this as we watch the battle for the lead. McAreevy on Gaspers, but going to be content to stay behind him into the bus stop. Everybody else getting onto the binders and accordioning together.
Working really hard. Yeah, Sadro trying his really best to get a great line to hang on to the back of McAreevy. McAreevy got to be happy where he is right now. Sitting behind the pole sitter, does not want to slow down the Ghost. He's saying, Gaspers, let's go.
Certainly seems to be trying to give him a little bit of a hurry up. And I'm not sure what happened. We don't need to go to it, but Fred Desai pulled off to the side without hitting anything at the bus stop chicane and then took a tow to the pits. So 2 cars are in there, Desai and Fitterer. Everybody else is still running.
Desai had a lap 1 spin in Lacombe, coming out of Lacombe, so I think he had some damage. There was a lot of incidents going into that first lap.
I tell you what, Jerry knows how this game is played. He immediately hooked up with Gaspers and is pushing him. They've got 1.3 seconds over Sadro, who's himself is being overtaken. A slingshot maneuver for Richard Yolland now to get onto the podium. Elson also looking to go through, and he's got it.
That's not the worst thing that could happen for Sadro. The pass was made by Yolland. They got it a slingshot. He didn't lose any momentum through the corner, so maybe they can leapfrog their way up to the leaders. And in fact, it's only a second now between Yolland and McAreevy. I'm telling you, watch out for Yolland. He can race.
At a game time. Well, since that's calmed down, let's take a look at the replay of what happened at the start. Only happened to glance over and was able to see cars flying every which direction.
First of all, you have drivers trying to make it 3 wide there. That's not going to work, I don't believe. They get together.
Yeah, it looks like it started with Fitterer, with Kern and Doherty. And it's Doherty who gets sandwiched talking about Oreos. And then everybody just
and then ahead of this, Desai takes the spin. Yeah. This will be a good run. Oh, our director found a good spot. The gooey center got squished. See, if you know how to eat an Oreo, you're supposed to break it and separate so that there's room. You don't want to do that. That's like a s'more.
Watch Bradshaw's view. Did he catch any of this, or did he manage to get through without any damage? You can see it developing, probably getting a little bit scared at this point. I think he got through.
Yeah.
Maybe he touched him a little bit.
That car would not bounce out of the way. Fitterer, it's right there.
And Donald has managed to get back out after a small break for some milk, but he is running all the way back in 21st. That's last on the track as we watch Bradshaw.
Boy, and looking at the tail, that's a Juracek in there in a battle with that candy-colored car of Murakami. They got sideways coming out of the bus stop.
Wow, Bradshaw's gained a lot of spots since we last looked, up to P5 now. That's pretty high for the Spec 2. As we follow him down the hill towards Eau Rouge. Juracek, you were watching he and Murakami. They've settled that out, with Juracek coming out on top in 6th place. What's the draft going to do here, though, as we take a look at the leaders? 2/10 apart, but 2.5 seconds back to Daniel Sadro. Now
racing up there, and I can't find out what happened to it. It might be a connection problem for for Yolland. He is gone. Oh, he's in the pits and he's got damage, and I haven't been able to find it. He was racing in third.
Well, while Bill is looking for that, we continue to watch Elson, who himself is now in third, but falling away from Gaspers and McAreevy. If McAreevy manages to win this, Sadro, and if he finishes fourth where he is, we know he'll get less than 83, so that would be roughly 20-point swing. Is that going to be enough? I don't think it'll be quite enough for McAreevy. It'll be awful, awful close.
Yep, I have found it for Yolland. He made a mistake. A big one. Crashed the car hard. No fast repairs in this series.
Sun's
I had
decided
big
to
hopes for him.
Sun's decided to poke its face back out, and temperatures going up. It's 86 degrees now on the surface. Top two look like they're simply cruising at this point, knowing they've got the pace and they are pulling away. Gaspers and McAreevy simply swapping back and forth when they feel the need, and then bump drafting when they think necessary. They come
we talked about
Stavolo.
Yeah, we talked about it in the opening, how the draft works. And honestly, I don't want to keep emphasizing this point, but Yolland, who was racing in third, was the stepping stone for Elson and Sadro to get up into the mix. When that stepping stone was taken away, it turned Gaspers and McAreevy. They're out there just racing right now. They got 3.3 seconds back to the next two are going to get to them. They're not going to get there.
Yeah, certainly stuck on their own island as it swaps around once again. Gaspers now back in front. Getting a little bit of the same back between Bradshaw and Juracek. And Juracek now getting up into P5 even.
Oh! Juracek really getting loose in the bus stop. Now we come back live. Here we go. Now he goes through. I was on a replay. He's got around Bradshaw and Murakami. You know, Joe, another factor that we don't really mention much in these large draft tracks is the elimination of any lapped traffic. I mean, if you're going to be lapped, you're certainly going to be one car by himself. It's not going to be like the leaders will have to negotiate through a swarm of drivers that are competing.
Yeah, they've got a long ways to get anyone close to the end. Honestly, even Fitterer managed to get back out on the lead lap, even though he was in the pits for 3.5 minutes. So we take a look at C Love in a nice little fight. This is with second place and the Spec 2, and they're side by side through a Rouge, somehow managing to make it work. Although Love way off the course, he may have gotten a slowdown for that. He's staying with it for now, so perhaps he survived. And that was Jim McGill, not Sorrell.
Yeah.
Sorrell is at the front of that. Ryan, this is important. He wants to catch up to the train ahead, which includes Bradshaw, who is our Spec 2 leader. Remember, Sorrell is in the hunt for the Spec 2 championship, so he needs as many points as he can get.
And McGill is also on that overlay as well. He sits fourth. That's why he wanted to get around Carnivorous Love there as he makes that pass, and now it's on the back of the driver in front of him. Whoop! He's all right.
Oh, and speaking of, there's Bradshaw right there. Off track, coming out of Rivage. He had some help, but it didn't start that way.
No.
Let's see if we can get a replay once he gets turned around here.
Juracek was behind him, but he clears him easily, and then there was nowhere for Murakami to go.
Watch from Juracek's point of view. You could see the car starting to slide even partway through the corner. And then we didn't quite see it there, but he got ran into by the red and white machine of Chris Murakami. Here we go. It's a hard hit.
Every time I look at Murakami's car, I just want to take the cellophane off that thing and pop it in my mouth.
See, I always thought of it as the old Japanese flag.
All right, I get that. So that's been, Joe breaks up another battle now as Juracek and Murakami are separated.
Certainly has. And look at the damage on the front of the 01 too. That is big, big damage. He's already dropped away from Juracek. He's kind of all by his lonesome. So this means Ryan Sorrell is spying one more spot quickly coming up in his windscreen. Not missing anything up at the front, by the way. Gaspers and McAreevy still 1-2, and that changes around depending on when you look. But they have stretched it to 3.7 seconds over Elson and Sadro. Good news for fans of the 56 and the 51, though, is that they aren't losing time as quickly now. Now up the Kimmel Straight for our leaders. Multi-time champion David Gaspers here in the Weekend Warriors. Jerry McAreevy gives him another little let's go.
Those guys have raced countless miles with each other.
Some of these bump drafts are not gentle, though, with Jerry McAreevy. We talked about the penalty points for the incidents. And in other series, we've worried about that due to disappearing because of an incident limit at bump draft circuits. In this case, I kind of worry that maybe it might be hurting Jerry if maybe he just doesn't care about the second place in the first place in the championship either, potentially. Who knows? But Nico Schuk and Lacoombs was pointed the wrong way.
Doesn't hit anything though. He gets the car straightened out, loses a couple spots to Don't and Jacobson. Also Bob Kern.
The DS driver gets spun around, and then eventually, as cars stream by, returns in 13th.
We put the camera when we come back live. We are live now. Let's look at Bob Kern in 12th position. This guy always hanging around the overlay and the S2 champion. Not having the best run for him this season.
Yep, and in fact, he's not having the best race because he started in 9th and he's down in 12th position, so he's lost a few spots.
He's in the tow, though, with Jacobson and Don't. Sorry, Joe.
That's okay. Looking through to see kind of who our big movers are in this race. Can we get the cameras on Jim McGill, the number 342 car? He's just ahead of a battle between Murakami and Sorrell. But McGill, and this is legitimate, he said a lap time, Bill, started in 19th. He is in 6th right now.
Yeah, and pulling away from the two guys behind him as well. Look at these guys battling. You see those cars behind.
Murakami with his damage, he's fallen behind both of them. Sorrell made easy work out of that, and then comes up to the back of Jim McGill, but can't attempt to pass into the bus stop. Certainly get more opportunities with 25 minutes left to go. I do believe we are well within the pit window. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, let's stay on these guys and get an idea of what the final lap may be like. They come out of the bus stop, and this will really play a factor when we're looking at Gaspers and McAreevy, how it plays out. Then they go through here. And if you can get a run, there's a chance you can stake them before you get to the finish line here, because it takes a long time for these cars to get up to speed. The finish line isn't until there. See, there's a lot of time.
Yeah, quite a while. And I can report that Steve Elson is the first to blink. He's joined by Jeff Jacobson. These should be scheduled stops. Now, Elson was working with Sadro, which means Sadro's been left all on his own.
Right. This was the 3-4 combination.
Oh, and we just saw why he pitted. There was some damage on the front that got fixed for Elson, so he had to take a spare car.
He comes back out, slots into 16th position.
We talked about the lack of lap traffic. Well, a lot easier to find a gap in the traffic as well if you pit early. So Elson sitting pretty good, about 4 seconds behind Gary Woolbolt.
Now going back and looking at Elson's car, there was damage, and it was on the front. I think it might have been a case of one of those bump traps for Ab being a little more bumpy than he might have intended, because when he pitted, he was right behind Sadro. It's not like he had lost any time or made a mistake.
Oh,
whoa, that's some fun little drifting going on there.
Yeah, Dominique Bureau catching the car as he tries to chase down Van Dornveld, but that lost him a lot of time, and Woolbolt knows it. He's going to try and see if he can do anything with this. They come down to Pruhan. Gets awful close to the back of that car.
Burrow racing in the same position that he gridded not the case for Volvo. He is up 6 spots.
Curious to see if anybody else responds now that we've had 2 drivers come into pit. I would almost think that Daniel Sadra would have no choice but to pit at this point, Bill, because he's got no drafting partner.
Yeah, but on other respects, neither does Steven Elson. Sometimes you get lucky with a few stepping stones. Sometimes traffic can be your friend if you're a fast driver and they're spread out nicely. You can use them to kind of get a little gravity assist through the field if you're into some NASA technology there. He's too far back for that to happen. So both Elson and Sadro are racing each other on opposite sides of the track.
I don't think Sadro's really concerned about racing against Sadro, though. I think, or against Elson. I think his concern is catching McAreevy most likely. So that's why I'm kind of thinking he probably would want to pit just so that he can get back with him, and those two can continue to work together to try and make time. Because right now that gap has actually gone up dramatically. It's 5.5 seconds.
As we look at the battle, the difference up front in scoring is about 7 or 8 points. He's got himself a 19-point cushion. What Sadra really needs to do is just not have a horrible finish. He can afford to finish 2 or 3 spots behind McAreevy and still get the championship.
This is true. We'll see how it plays out in the end. We've got a little bit of a battle between McGill and Sorrell still, and this is for, if I understand correctly, the Spec 2 lead.
Hey, we missed a pass for the lead, didn't we?
Yep, McAreevy. I mean, we don't need to report on it too much. McAreevy, like I keep saying, McAreevy and Gaspers have been swapping it around plenty, but it's not really been much of a story. They just do that intentionally every other lap or so. Meanwhile, a little bit of a look to the inside, down into Ravage from Sorrell. Nothing doing on McGill.
Another aspect of the race, as we see those 2 cars going nose to tail there, is the fuel and saving fuel. Because the fuel goes into these SRFs so slowly, if you can save yourself, half a gallon, that's a couple seconds on the track.
This is a good point. And Gaspers and McAreevy, I wouldn't say have been saving fuel per se, mostly just trying to get the most out of their speed, but Sadro maybe?
Well, I think as far as Gaspers and McAreevy goes, it's kind of a case of, wait a minute, I'm doing all the work here, so we are both going to have to make a pit stop, and when we come in, we'd like it to kind of be a fair stop between the 2 of us.
And watching the 2 of them work their way around Blanchimont up towards the bus stop chicane. And again, we won't be able to tell if they're going to pit here because they're going to continue on past this. There's a little bit of a lockup from David Gaspers into the bus stop chicane, but no dramas out of that. Across the Grand Prix finish line. And still we continue all the way around La Source. Now we can tell whether or not they are going to come in halfway through the race at this point. Traditionally, some of the faster drivers tend to go long. Looks like these 2 are heading in that direction. Both continue on.
Sadro stays out. The interval between Sadro and Elson, which will be fun because we know Sadro and Elson were nose to tail when Elson came in early. 35 seconds. That's your bogey time.
And Juracek pits. Yaroslav comes on in from 4th place. So that'll bump McGill and Sorrell up momentarily. Where is Elson? Elson is coming up to La Source right now. He was well ahead of Juracek.
Yeah, should be able to get him.
Yaroslav's already in his stall. Elson's got speed up coming down the front stretch. Juracek comes out, but he's not going to be able to get to the cones in time to start to build up speed because there goes Elson.
Miroslav Juracek was all by himself when he came into pit. He was racing back there in what basically was 4th position. They were up a few spots because 5th position. They were up because Elson made that stop. Slots out now into about 13th. Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's amongst a fair bit of traffic, too. The car you're seeing going by has not pitted. That's Francois van Doorn Veld. And then Gary Wobolt and Dominique Bureau in front of him too. That's not going to bode well for the number 84.
Been watching that battle between Bureau and Wobolt. It's Gary's been watching him back there, stock.
Oh, the 242.
Yeah, he just put it in the wall.
This is in Malmedy, it looks like.
Yeah, you know, we talked about it. He came out in front of Juracek, and this is what you got to watch for when you make those pit stops. You're back to the race with other guys. Juracek gets around him without an issue.
Yeah, Benelux driver took a hard hit to the inside wall and then took a long time to get turned around. I'm honestly surprised. We've seen this a number of times this race where drivers, and he is badly damaged. You could see him trying to limp off the racing line, stay out of everybody's way. But it seems like drivers have almost gotten practically a little stuck having to wait for cars to go by despite the small field.
Let's drop in on we look at that. Let's go up to 11th real quick, because this is a battle between Bureau and Wobolt. But what makes it interesting now is you have a driver on a different agenda back there. That's Miroslav in 13th position. He's got places to go. He's got to get around these guys, and they're having fun right now. Look at him right on the back of Wobolt. Makes the move there, and look, there's another stepping stone. He's going to get them both.
Yeah, this is a perfect time for him to catch them. You can, wow, look at how much speed he got from that slipstream.
Yeah.
Just made it look easy. And our leaders pit. 16 minutes left to go. Sadro continues on, interestingly. We talked about that fuel saving.
Oh, I get paid to make predictions. It wouldn't surprise me if McAreevy is first out of pit lane here. He was following behind Gaspers the whole time. They come out in the order that's going on.
Also, our Spec 2 leaders, Ryan Sorrell pits. Murakami is in. Jim McGill. A lot of drivers coming in.
Oh, yeah.
So it seems if you're not fuel saving, this is as far as you go. But you get to the number 51 of Sadro. Steve Elson. Oh, wait, no, Elson's already pitted. Excuse me. So Elson comes up to 4th now. The only driver ahead of him who's yet to pit is Daniel Sadro, who he was racing with earlier.
That's the one.
Bureau continues. And O'Donnell? No, O'Donnell hasn't made it to the pits yet.
The Elson-Sadro interval remained about 35 seconds.
So very interesting. Only 2 drivers have been able to make it to lap 9 without stopping. We watch the 2 drivers we expect to re-inherit the lead, McAreevy and Gaspers. Sadro, even if he fuel saved, we don't think we'll be able to make it, make enough of a leapfrog to get ahead of the 67 and the 23.
We look at that battle on screen. If you want to drill down a little bit on strategy, they don't take tires in this car. So it's not like you're going any slower because you're out there on old rubber. In fact, your rubber is actually warm. You might be even faster. Your car's lighter, though, if the longer you can run. All these laps run by Elson, the car is, I don't know, whatever gallons he needed to put in heavier. Not that much, but probably a pretty good lunch worth.
That's true. Sadro running on a slightly lighter car. He's coming through. Oh, he's pushing too. Really sliding it into the first apex. So he's not giving up on this race from what we can see.
Well, I'm telling you, the Sadro and Elson, their intervals is the same. It's
should be in this time. And yep. He's heading straight for the pit lane. That will hand the lead back to McAreevy again.
Yeah. A little bit of a mistake from Gaspers coming out of the bus stop. So this is the largest lead that McAreevy has had all race. It's all of 10 car lengths. Don't get all that excited, Jerry, because the ghost is quick. They'll go by. They should gobble up a Sadro without a problem. The question is if Elson can get there.
So keep an eye on that. I'm pretty sure you're right. The Gaspers will be able to reel him back in with the draft. As they go by the pits. Yep, he's out.
Elson a little far back. I always get a little bit confused because it takes so long to get these little engines wound up.
Yeah.
Sadro's out on the track first, but I don't know what that means.
Cruising along at just about 100 miles an hour compared to 109 for Steve Elson. I think he'll get within the draft, but he actually got jumped a little bit. I think Sadro did get time on him. And looking at the pit stop times, curiously, Elson was quicker.
Right. Yeah, if anybody should have made up time, it was Elson. So that just goes to show you it was all about pace when Sadro was out there.
Ooh, and he's about 2.5 seconds back. I think that is just too far back for the draft to have an effect. Sadro may have gotten himself a little bit of clean track. So all my naysaying was for naught. We get a little bit more cloud cover once again, back down to 76 degrees on the surface with 12 minutes left to go. Pit stops are done, so let's run you through the field a little bit, get you up to speed if you're just joining us on the situation. There's our 2 leaders. Now, this changes even right here, just now. You can see to David Gaspers being up at the front. That's swapping around just about every other corner at this point. McAreevy sits in second. It has mostly been these two for the majority of the race in the lead. Daniel Sadro is running in 3rd place. Since his pit stop, his strategy worked out beautifully. He's got a gap to the car behind and has managed to be able to run on his own to see if he could take this championship. Elson was trying to stay with him, took an early stop, we believe, due to damage to take a spare car. He's still in 4th position. And the top 5 rounded out by Miroslav Juracek, who started this race in 10th position and is all the way up to P5. This is not a bad run from the 84. Bill, what's the other 5 look like in the top 10?
A pair of two S2 drivers that sit in the top 5 overlay. Ryan Sorrell is in 6th. He sits 2nd on the chart. He's being chased by Jim McGill in 7th. And as I say that, don't mark it down yet, folks, because I think that's going to change right now. There goes McGill. Other than the battle going on up front between Sadro and McAreevy, this is our closest battle to the top, and these guys continue to race together. That's going to continue. Let's drop back a little bit farther. Chris Murakami back in 8th position, all by himself, seconds behind the guys in front of him, 4 seconds up on right there. Corn on the Cob Love sitting in 9th position. Rounding out your top 10, we got a little bit of a battle. I talked about Bob Kern. Look at this one. This is fun, Joe. This is a 3-car battle. Kern, Jeff Jacobson, and Matthew Don't.
See, I heard it was Coast Guard Love. So
Okay.
3 cars working their way into the bus stop, and 3 cars going to find their way out. As you were talking about that, I was half watching our leaders. I think the intensity has ramped up because they went side by side into the bus stop. I don't think this is a dance anymore, Bill. I think this is a street fight.
No, and let me get you in there as there's a pass as we speak right now as Gassers goes around. We can get inside the helmet of McAreevy now. Jacobson has had an issue. Oh, my.
And almost got collected by Bradshaw, rather.
Yeah, Don't goes around, and by the time Jacobson gets it going, Adam Bradshaw almost gets him as Jacobson was doing a donut in a kind of a dangerous spot.
Yeah, certainly was in a hurry to get going once again. We're going to watch from Bradshaw's perspective. This is a very blind corner, too.
Yeah, they do have reverse on this car. Whoa, nice job.
Well, despite avoiding that, the 205 is, I believe, 6th or 7th still in that Spec 2 race. So Bradshaw not having the best of days. Oh, and Doherty, that's right. Doherty and Fitterer were involved in that early incident. So that's why they're in at this point. Late second stop, sadly, for these two.
Yeah, to talk a little bit more here about the battle and finish my point with McAreevy. He knows that Sadro sits in 3rd, and honestly, that's all Daniel needs to do to get the championship. What that really does, it kind of frees McAreevy now to have a little fun. He's not really racing up there. He knows he's not going to, if he gets into a problem, it's not going to cost him the crown. So now he can race for the win with Gaspers, with a free spirit.
Speaking of free spirit, don't freewheeling around and getting it going once again. But that puts Matthew down in 14th because of that incident. Number of drivers seeming to have some problems here at the end with a lot of spins.
Yeah, don't need to go there, but Dominique Barreau also had a spin at the same time. So, yeah, the guys in the back having some issues. No issues for these two guys, though.
Yeah, that's for sure. 8 minutes left to go. They come around La Source down to the start-finish line. So how many laps are we going to see here? Just into 3 minutes. I think we got 3 laps to go.
Yeah, that feels right. Usually
so
at this
far,
time...
Go ahead.
Oh, usually we worry about covering the battle up front. We don't want to miss the action behind. But right now, this battle is really one of the best ones out there, other than McGill and Sorrell, that we'll keep an eye on as well.
Yeah, we've seen multiple times them come into the braking zone side by side. And they're going to do it yet again. To the outside, you've got McAreevy, who we ride on board with, looking back at Gaspers, who's strong on the brakes. He gets it woed up, and they manage to weave through there wheel to wheel. Intense stuff, and David Gaspers still pulls it off, but Jerry McAreevy is going to try to come back to the inside with an over-under down towards Ravage. Now switches in favor of the number 67. Still wheel-to-wheel coming through Ravage. And finally he gives it up down through No Name. I wonder how much they can really battle like this, though, Bill. It is 8 seconds back to Sadro, but they're doing a lot of side-by-side racing.
Usually at this point, I go to the classic line, the throwaway line that all the commentators use, that they're just feeling each other out, getting a feel for what's going to happen on the last lap. I'm not sure that's the case right now. I think they are racing.
Last race of the season. Gaspers just wanting to have some fun. McAreevy maybe not caring as much about the championship, wanting to see what kind of show they can put on for the fans. Out through Stavilo onto another one of the long stretches where the slipstream is going to bring them side by side yet again. And indeed, they are losing time. It is now down to 7.5 seconds back to Sadro.
I think they're still pretty confident in their position. McAreevy making the move, boy, putting the left side tires out there on the grass. Got to be careful. Now, if Sadro were to blow an engine, I think you'd see a different attitude from McAreevy all of a sudden. His attitude may change as they're going to be too wide into the chicane. And Joe, you might be right. These guys are having fun, but they got to keep an eye on the guy in third.
Deep into the corner, using the momentum around the outside of the first apex, David Gaspers takes the lead once more over Jerry McAreevy. Coming up to the La Source hairpin, we'll get a better idea of just how many laps are left.
And again, I don't want to hammer this point home, but the finish line is over here on this side of the track. So many times we've seen it be right out of the bus stop. That's not the case.
Crossing the line with a little over 5 minutes to go. I do believe that will make 2 laps left, yes. Oh, a little shaky over the top of Radion for David Gaspers. That hurts his momentum. McAreevy doesn't even need the tow. He's already slingshotting by. Wonder if Gaspers could try to come back at him with it.
Because they fight too wide. Careful as they go through. They were too wide through here last time.
A little bit smoother, I'd say, this time as Gaspers sails it into the corner. Let's step away from this just a moment because we can't forget about Sorrell and McGill. This is the fight for the Spec 2 lead that has implications on the Spec 2 championship, of course.
The good news for the viewers is these guys are 30 seconds behind the leaders. We'll be able to cover the leaders crossing the line, then go back and look at this battle. So it's the next battle on the track.
We're looking at Fitterer in 20th place, who is leading the points down in that Spec 2, with Sorrell sitting in 7th. Now, they don't take first and second position points for finishing first and second in the Spec 2. They take the position overall points for that.
That's the way we prefer it here at GSRC. Makes every pass important on the track.
Absolutely. Might be in a different class, but you're still looking for the overall best race you could possibly do.
Looks like we're going to have another pass for the lead with just about 3.5 minutes of racing to go. I guess these start to matter now.
So, Bill, I'll turn the tables on you because I know you always like to ask your co-commentators this question. Put yourself in one of these drivers' positions. Which spot do you want to be in where to make the move?
I want to be in the lead coming out of the bus stop. I don't need to be in the lead going to the bus stop. I want to be first out of this. Right now, I do not want to be in the position that McAreevy finds himself in right now. I want to play defense. I want to be Gaspers, play defense through here and fend off. And if I'm looking for a winner here, I have done too many of these races to pick against the Ghost. First of all, remember, he's already faster, so he can be fast when he needs to be fast.
Interestingly, Gaspers, let's see, he's only won one race because of his lack of attendance. That was all the way back at the Nürburgring. Since then, he's had 2 podiums, a second at Tsukuba and a second at Zandvoort. As we ride on board looking back from what soon will be a former champion. He's not going to take the championship this season. Jerry McAreevy slips to the inside. He's going to get up in front by the time they hit Lacombe. He's going to cover off the inside as well, but he comes in very shallow, still manages to make the corner. They both swing back to take Malmedy as quick as possible. David Gaspers within striking distance. If he wants it, he looks a little bit to the inside, but comes back to the racing line. He doesn't want it yet.
No. I will be surprised, Joe, if he takes this not until he gets to Blanchimont. That's where he wants to make the pass and then play defense out of the bus stop, would be my guess.
Yes, driver had a tiny lockup into Rivage, plunging downwards. Back, heading towards the start-finish line at this point. They've passed the highest part of the circuit around Pouhon. Gaspers gaining speed, and even far enough to the inside that he could complete the pass potentially here at Fanyes, and he is going to take it.
I'm surprised by that. Now I like where McAreevy, I like his position.
Does McAreevy like this position, though?
He'll want to time it. You don't want to make the pass too early here because then Gaspers can come back around you.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that we didn't see Jerry back off just a little bit to kind of set himself up a bigger slingshot. Regardless, he is going to be able to get by, it looks like. They're coming up to Blanchimont. 2 more braking zones to go. Once into the bus stop, once into La Source, and all the way wide. Jerry McAreevy, liberal with the track limits. Gaspers on the outside as they come up to the first apex of the bus stop. He's got a nose ahead. Does he chop him off? No, he gives him space. Could he get the over-under? Jerry McAreevy trying to carry the speed, but currently it is David Gaspers up ahead. He pulls all the way over to try to break the draft a little bit. Down the traditional front stretch, they come up to La Source. He's going to poke his nose in, see if he can make the pass in the final corner. Jerry McAreevy does get a wheel in there. He's given space, but he can't get it off the corner quick enough. David Gaspers is able to outrun him, outdrag him to the line, give the number 23 his second win of the season.
In third place, right behind him, Daniel Sandro crosses the line. He'll get the championship, we believe. Let's jump back to P6, Joe.
Battle for the Spec 2 lead. Jim McGill currently leads it. Similar to what we saw before, except McGill holding off the inside, trying to cover off Ryan Sorrell. Sorrell comes all the way back to the right side, looks for the over-under, manages to stay out of him, and he's just barely got the speed and noses ahead. Can he keep it to the line? Ryan Sorrell in 6 overall. As they come to it, he gets it.
The tale of 2 cities, 2 different stories from 2 drivers going into that final corner.
Ryan timed that beautifully. just perfect. Saw what he was doing, saw the writing on the wall, and look at it. He even backed up the corner. He broke way early. Excellent stuff. That is fantastic racecraft right there.
That was fun. You could see how you can win it either from behind or from in front. Look at that. Nice finish for 6th position.
Great stuff. And we'll figure out how exactly that plays out in the Spec 2 Championship and the points in a little bit. But in the meantime, we got to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. On screen, you'll see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to Spa-Francorchamps. We just watched the final round of the season for the Weekend Warriors, and David Gaspers may have taken the win, only his 2nd one this season, but it was another driver, we believe, who took the championship. Jerry McAreevy finished 2nd, and Daniel Sadro, by our estimations on the points, should manage to move into the points lead and take Season 2 in 2019. Steve Elson was behind them after pit stops. He dropped well back, and he was never a factor again. Finished 4th. Miroslav Juracek, P5s, having started 10th. The Spec 2 winner, Ryan Sorrell, with a great final corner move, going from 15th to 6th. And how about McGill? You can't play him down. 19th to 7th out there on track. Great job. Chris Murakami takes 8th, exactly where he started. And then we have the Condor Love driver in 9th place, and Bob Kern finishing 10th.
In 11th, it's Adam Bradshaw, Nico Schuck behind him. In the Baker's Dozen position, Jeff Jacobson comes ahead of Matthew Don't. Gary Woolbolt in the 15th spot. All ribbons and curls in the sweet 16th position is Dominic Thoreau. William Marshall, didn't hear much from him. He finishes on the lead lap in 17th position. About 30 seconds ahead of Donald Fitter. Now, Fitter, we think, is going to get that F2 championship. He went out there and did the Dory Award. Just keep swimming. He finishes 18th, enough to get that championship in the S2 classification. Edward Doherty, John O'Donnell go 19th and 20th. The final 3 drivers, these guys all had trouble. 7, 13, and 14 laps down. Francois Van Dornveld, Richard Yallen, who had that early incident. He was racing up in third when he ran into trouble, and Fred Desai.
First up, we're going to talk to our winner for this race, David Gaspers, who returns for another victory. David, it seemed like as soon as you and Jerry broke the draft of the cars behind, that from then it was basically waiting till the pit stops for the real action to happen. Is that a correct assessment?
Partly. Once we had a 3-second gap, I stopped working together with him. But before the pit stop, at some points he didn't really want to attack.
Obviously, this track very much about trying to position yourself on the place where you want coming into the final lap and knowing when to make your move. Did things play out how you wanted, or was it a little bit kind of call it as it happens?
To be honest, I never really think about it. I just want to lead all the time. And yeah, I guess it would have been better to stay behind him and pass him in the last drafting circuit instead, but that wouldn't really be much fun.
Were you surprised at the fact that you managed to get a 2-car breakaway so early, or did you think that was doable coming into this race?
It depended on the other cars behind us. If they went too wide at some point, I knew it was possible, but if they just followed, they should have been able to stay in the draft.
Well, as we've now finished another season, thanks for coming back and giving us one more impressive run. Sad that you didn't get to compete for the whole one, but you've shown that you are still a top contender here, David.
Thanks.
That was David Gaspers, winner here today. We have another winner, we believe, provisionally, Daniel Sadro, our new champion, we believe, talking to Soup Zahn.
Hailing out of Wisconsin, congratulations. We believe you are the champion. Is that your thinking as well?
What? No, isn't Sven?
No, I think he wasn't here today, and he doesn't have any more drop races. I think you're going to overtake him. I think you got the crown, baby.
Oh, cool. I didn't even realize that.
There you go. Drink the milk, pal. Hey, you got kind of left alone there at the end. You were in a battle there with Elson. He came in early. You decided to stay out. What were you thinking?
If I'm honest, I just thought that if I just did some decent laps, just kept it safe, that the strategy of staying out late would be the better one, and that I was just hoping to make sure I had 2 seconds on him by the time I was done with the pit stops, and that's what I had.
All right, let's talk about you as a driver. We've seen you. I know you from a couple different series here on GSRC. We've seen you in this one, and we also seen you in the Lotus 49s. Now, to most iRacers, or I guess most fans would think, well, those cars are very different. But to me, that makes a lot of sense because both the SRFs and the Lotus 49s are both driver cars. It's not point and shoot.
Oh yeah, and you don't see me race this, but usually on Friday nights I'm doing the dirt sprint cars, which is again all about controlling the car and making sure it points in the way you want. Yeah, they're not that dissimilar of disciplines.
Right, and it shows. It's interesting how that plays out. Hey, Daniel, congratulations on the championship. We're closing out the seasons here for all the iRacing venues, so we'll see you starting fresh wherever you decide to race with us on GSRC.
Well, thanks for doing the broadcast, and thanks to Hallett Race Shop for sponsoring us this season.
Thanks. There you go. Daniel Sadro, third place today. Our surprise champion, Joe.
He seems pretty surprised about it. Jerry McAreevy came in behind him, most likely in the points. Jerry, you got second on the track as well, and it seemed like you and David weren't really concerned about the championship fight. Well, David especially, because it looked like you two were mostly just having fun out there.
Hi, guys. Yeah, that was the name of the game, really, just to have fun today, and that's how it went.
David said that his approach was not to think about trying to get tricky with the end and position yourself to just instead always be at the front. Is that your thinking too?
Well, only one of us can be at the front, so I know what David's like. He likes to lead. I didn't really want to fight up until after the pit stops. Wanted to keep it quite close together, and fight after the pit stops, and just after that we just went hell for leather basically.
So you're telling me there can be only one?
Highlander mode, yeah.
Sorry, with your accent, I couldn't resist. So, this was a pretty fun season. It seemed to be thrown for a bit of a loop with Dimmel coming in. You going to come back next season and see if you can make a more serious charge for the top spot?
Oh yeah, I love this league. Any weekend I've got off, I'll definitely be here. That's
great stuff. Again, congratulations on a podium today. Thanks for a fun race to watch. You certainly gave us a great one.
Cheers, Joe. Catch you later.
That was Jerry McReevy, thankfully having a good sense of humor about my sense of humor. Soup's got one more to talk to, and that was our winner in the Spec 2.
And I have Ryan Sorrell with us. My gosh, what a fun battle at the end. You managed to get that done from being second into LaSource. Into LaSource there at the end. Ryan, you got a copy?
Hello?
Yeah, we got you, Ryan. We're good. Let's do an interview. Congratulations on getting that win there for 6th position.
That was fun.
Came out of the bus stop. You were behind going into that final corner, but it all worked out for you. A little up and under move.
Yeah, I actually had that same thing happen in a race yesterday. Only same position, only we bumped, so I lost a couple miles per hour, so worked out this time.
But man, you put on a good show for us. It was fun watching you race with Jim McGill for so many laps. Congratulations. Good luck next season.
Thank you.
Ryan Sorrell, 6th place finisher today. Joseph?
Another driver seems to be a little bit caught out by coming in to talk to us. But regardless, we had a lot of fun watching this season finale. We got to close up, but a big thank you goes to the Hallett Race Shop for sponsoring. You can find them at hallettracing.net. They helped make this season of broadcasting possible. Also to iRacing for putting us on IESN. Go to their YouTube page, click the big red button that says subscribe. Get all of those races in your YouTube feed. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Bill, Amjad, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check us out on social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook, Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. We have upcoming races for other series listed here on your screen, so make sure and check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.